Roland Martin has continued to speak in support of Colin Kaepernick's right to protest. And now, over the weekend, the president has weighed in on it. And I'm not going to go into everything he said. Basically, he said Kaepernick has the right to protest. That's just the American way, basically. I'm going to play the comments that were made by Roland and his panel. And I also want to comment on the fact that at the beginning of this, you saw all of this social media condemning him. They were burning his uniform, etc., etc. Well, hell, now his uniform is the top seller at the San Francisco 49er merchandise store. What they originally did was they took all of his uniforms and placed them in vats, of all things, of marked down, discontinued merchandise. And I guess one of the people went past that vat and saw that it was empty, and they were wondering what happened to the uniform. So they went into their system and saw that those uniforms were their #1 seller in the store. They hurried up and got the rest of those uniforms that they had, marked them back up to the original $99.99 price, and put them out there with all of their other merchandise. And that uniform is still their #1 seller. So money talks and bullshit walks. Anyway, here's the telecast clip from the Roland Martin show.
Joining us right here, of course, we have Cleo Monago, who's on our far left there. Of course, they're glad to have Cleo here, Black Men's Exchange. Michelle Bernard, political analyst and president and CEO of the Bernard Center for Women, Politics and Public Policy. Ralph Chittum's senior vice chairman, D.C. Republican Party. So, folks, glad to have you. So, here's what is quite interesting. Now, all of a sudden, you have the Santa Clara Police Union, which is where the 49er Stadium is based. We're going to boycott due to security during the game. Yeah, right. Then Santa Clara Police Chief came out and said, no, security will be taken care of. This is what I find to be interesting. That police union, I don't recall seeing them send a statement out about the racist text messages being sent back and forth by the San Francisco Police Department. I don't recall them sending out any kind of statement when 12 Oakland police officers are now under investigation, and they had 3 interim police chiefs in a span of 2 weeks because of allegations of having sex with an underage prostitute. So it's amazing how they're just so bothered by Colin Kaepernick for a silent protest, but they are so silent when their own folks carrying the badge do terrible, bad things.
Well, the same thing happened with Beyonce, didn't it? The police department said that they were not going to support her because of her views. Mm-hmm. What's interesting, real quickly, is that it was interesting watching Obama talk about this event without mentioning police brutality and not being clear about what he was talking about and referring to in these abstract ways. Politicians amaze me. But I think that we are clear on that the police departments who are against him are being racist. Mm-hmm. The issues that you raised, Roland, were not racism-based. They were based on other issues that these people feel like are relevant compared to their power to oppress black people and to abuse black men, particularly in terms of police brutality. So there's a bias here that's anti-black. But what I also want to say is that I hope that Obama's support of Colin and Colin's attitude inspires other black people who are in NFL to step up.
No, in fact, another player with Seattle Seahawks, he has set out the last couple of games. He said he would do so throughout the season as well. Over the weekend, actually, I saw a video over the weekend. There were 5 elementary school students at a particular school who also took a knee during the national anthem as well. And so you throw in the soccer star as well. The bottom line is folks are recognizing that he is making a point that is critically important, and he's not some guy who is clueless on these issues.
Yes, but if you look at social media and the comments, the negative comments that are made about Kaepernick, one of the things that I shouldn't say is so surprising, but actually so disgusting to me, is the vitriol and the statements being made by people that are sort of like, "How dare you? You make so much money in the NFL. This is not a problem. You shouldn't be speaking out on this. Take your money, be happy." And this is so unpatriotic. And you know, we live in a country where you are able to speak your mind, and if you're white, not get shot because you've done it.
I mean, there's no question that what Kaepernick is doing is well within his constitutional rights. He has the right to stand, sit, kneel, not even come out of the locker room for the national anthem. And, you know, one thing that I give the president credit for is he admitted that democracy can be messy, because simply because someone has a different opinion, I have to be willing, if I'm going to be a true American, to let that person articulate that opinion, even though I'm going to argue at my loudest against that opinion. And we've gotten to a point in this country where we don't value dissenting opinions, we demand agreement and uniformity.
No, we don't value dissenting opinions that come from black men. That is where the issue is. If a black man stands up, exactly, we don't value black men, and we have a nation that pretends that black men don't have minds of their own, that they can't speak, and that if you speak on an issue that is important to you, it means that you're not patriotic and you don't love it.
And let me also be very clear. Let me also be a bit more. First of all, I mean, I think we've seen when brothers stand up, especially who are sports figures, America wants to say just shut up, sit down, and play, and then make us feel happy with your play, as opposed to how you're treated when you leave the stadium. But also, there are people out there who are suggesting that, well, Colin Kaepernick, he's one of these uninformed guys. Folks, let me tell you this here. I talked to Colin Kaepernick this weekend. He and I had a very long conversation. He is very astute on these issues. He's very clear as to what he is doing and why he is doing it. And I think, Cleo, last comment here, that's what's ticking folks off, that he has articulated what the issue is, but America never wants to discuss the why of the protest. They only want to discuss the protest.
Yeah, and I haven't spoken to him, but I saw his press conference. He's very much informed. He's not making a knee-jerk decision. He is informed. He's protesting injustice. But like I said before, I hope that some of his other peers get some balls. Not the ones they throwing around the court, but the ones that God gave them, including people like LeBron James and other people, because it's interesting to me that Jesse Williams and Kaepernick are the poster children for justice fighting these days.
And they were raised by white parents.
And there's an issue there, I think. I think one group has audacity for some reason, and one group is terrified and silenced for a reason, and that's an issue here that I think we need to open up.
Speaking of issues,
They also have a right not to protest.
Of course.
To stand for the flag.
that's fine.
To imply that by doing so they don't have cojones or they don't have balls, I think it's doing them a disservice.
Well, actually, well, you do have a lot of athletes, though, who have been greatly impacted by police action, especially when those brothers have gone to South Beach for so many years. And then I know several athletes who were arrested, slammed up against cars. They set them on the sidewalk, then later released, and because they were stopped for driving expensive cars. So you might make $5, $10, $20 million a year, but in the eyes of a lot of cops, you're nothing but a brother from the hood, and that's how a lot of them see it. Folks,
All right. Colin Kaepernick basically has sparked this situation. There have been several sparks on situations of racism within the past 12 months, let's say. A spark of notice that was quickly snuffed out by acquiescence was at the University of Missouri, where students were protesting racist actions by other students and faculty members, and had a blind eye turned to it. Well, first the students started to protest. It sparked. the football team came out in support of the protest. Now, given first it was the black members of the football team that came out, but then the entire football team, white, Hispanic, etc., joined their teammates in the protest. The coach knew that he had to do something, i.e., support his players, because if he didn't, he would have lost his team. There's strength in numbers. When the team came out and took that stand and said that they were not going to play in a game unless their demands were met for the most part, and that game that they were not going to play in was against Notre Dame in a stadium that they had to rent, and the financial loss to them would have been $5 million plus. Guess what? The chancellor resigned, the president resigned, all of the racist writing on various buildings was gone. They had major meetings and addressed reforms that the students asked for. They took care of that. They got that out of the way to the point that a month later, it was barely a memory. That didn't address the underpinning of what was going on. It took care of the overt visual aspects of the racist actions, but it really didn't address the covert underlining racism that was there. This one is a little different. This one's a little different. This one's shining a light, obviously, on police brutality. This is a spark that I believe is going to be picked up. Now, the Santa Clara Police Union took a stand. They said that because they didn't agree with the expression of Mr. Kaepernick's First Amendment right to protest. And again, I said this in previous videos. He wasn't jumping up and down and yelling and cursing and being disrespectful. He did something that I believe is an ordinary act. He just chose to sit down. He just sat. You walk into a movie theater, you sit down, you're watching a movie. You walk into a restaurant and sit down, you're getting something to eat. Those are things that you want to do. He wanted to protest, so he sat down. Simple as that. Well, the police union, the mighty defender of the flag and the national anthem, apparently forgot what those things are supposed to represent. Those things, in my opinion, are supposed to represent our Constitution and our rights. Not just a few of the rights, all of the rights, and the people's ability to exercise all of those rights, even though you disagree with the reason for their protest. Anyway, the Santa Clara Police Union got slapped down, as Mr. Martin said, by the police chief, who said, nah, you're not doing that here. And there will be security. And the officers that are assigned, and they're off duty, by the way, and that's overtime pay, and they get to go to a game. So, but anybody that's doesn't want that duty, I got no problem assigning somebody else. So you won't hear anything else from the Santa Clara Police Union. But again, back to the original premise. Our rights are our rights. And it only is when a black man decides to exercise his rights that he comes under attack. They never want to address the reason for the protest because they can't, because the reasoning is sound. They always want to attack the manner of the protest itself. So it is what it is. Now again, I'm hoping that this will be a spark for others to step up to the plate. Now, if you don't believe in what Mr. Kaepernick is protesting over, you know, that's your right. And just as, you know, I support his right to protest because of injustice done by police to black people, I support your right to argue against it. But when we get into a debate, I'm going to present my facts. You're going to present your facts. Obviously, I believe I have a strong argument, and possibly you will believe that you have a strong argument. But don't denigrate me because I'm making my argument based on facts. And I will not denigrate you on your argument based on facts. But all this other stuff that's flying around in social media, that you don't stand for the flag, you don't salute, you don't put your hand over your heart, you need to leave the country, blah, 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 and all of the derogatory names that this man has been called, and anybody that supports this man, you know, are being called, yours truly being one of them. Honestly, I don't give a damn, because all I have to do, if you start using those derogatory terms, is click 4 times. I click to mute you. I will click to block you. I will click to delete your post. And then I will click and write a small comment about derogatory comments being made using certain no words. Anyway, that's what I have to say about this one. Again, I hope this is a spark. Hopefully this particular spark catches. Most people are rational. Most people, you know, have 2 eyes and common sense. They can see what's right. They can see what's wrong. And hopefully people will act to their better natures and take it from there.